Two hands clawed through the snow, blue fingers, frozen, still moving. Lily Beckett screamed and dropped to her knees. She was 8 years old. She had followed her dog into the woods looking for a lost cat. Now she was staring at two police officers buried alive, duct tape sealing their mouths shut, frost covering their eyelids like death veils. Thunder was already digging, whimpering desperate. "Wake up." Lily tore at the ice with her bare hands. "Please wake up." The woman's eyes fluttered open. Her lips moved behind the tape. One word. Muffled. Urgent. "Run." But Lily didn't run. What she did next would expose a nightmare hidden beneath her town for 3 years and put a target on her back that powerful men would kill to remove. Before we begin, comment where you're watching from. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss stories of courage and miracles. Now let's begin. The kitchen smelled like burnt oatmeal and old coffee. Lily Beckett stood on her tiptoes reaching for the cabinet above the stove where her grandmother kept the good cereal. The sugary kind. The kind Eleanor said would rot her teeth but bought anyway because she couldn't say no to those green eyes. "Lily Mae Beckett, you put that box down right now." Lily froze, box in hand, caught. Eleanor Beckett stood in the doorway, arms crossed, silver hair pulled back in a bun so tight it seemed to lift her eyebrows. She was 72 years old, built like a fence post, and had a stare that could stop a charging bull. "I wasn't going to eat the whole thing," Lily said. "You were going to try." Eleanor crossed the kitchen and took the box, but her weathered hand lingered on Lily's head, smoothing down a cowlick. "Your daddy called this morning. Truck broke down outside of Fargo. Won't be home until next week." Lily's face fell. "He promised he'd be here for my birthday." "I know, baby. He always promises." Eleanor's jaw tightened. She had words for her son-in-law, plenty of them, but not in front of the child. "He's trying. That man loves you more than his own life. He's just busy," Lily finished. She'd heard it before. She climbed down from the counter and walked to the window. Outside, the world was white. Snow had fallen all night, thick and heavy, and more was coming. The radio kept warning about the storm. The worst in 30 years, they said. Thunder lay by the back door, his massive head resting on his paws. He was 9 years old now, gray around the muzzle, slower than he used to be. But his eyes were still sharp, still watchful. He'd been her Uncle Thomas's dog once, a real police dog. The best in the county, people said. Then Uncle Thomas died shot during a traffic stop 3 years ago, and Thunder came to live with them. The dog hadn't left Lily's side since. "Grandma." "Have you seen Snowball?" Eleanor looked up from the stove where she was scraping the burnt oatmeal into the trash. "That cat. Not since last night. Probably hiding somewhere warm." Lily pressed her face to the cold glass. "She usually comes to my room. She wasn't there this morning." "She's a cat, Lily. They do what they want." But Lily was already pulling on her boots. Thunder's head lifted, ears pricking forward. He knew that look on her face. He'd seen it 100 times. "Where do you think you're going?" Eleanor demanded. "Just to check the barn. Maybe she got stuck in there." "It's freezing out there. Storm's coming. I'll be fast." Lily grabbed her coat, her mittens, her scarf. "Thunder will come with me." At the sound of his name, the old dog rose, joints creaking, tail wagging slowly. He moved to Lily's side and pressed his body against her leg. Eleanor sighed. 10 minutes, not a second more. You hear me?" "Yes, ma'am." "And stay close to the house." But Lily was already out the door, thunder bounding through the snow behind her. The barn was empty. Lily called for Snowball until her throat hurt. She checked the hayloft, the old tractor, the pile of feed bags in the corner. Nothing. The white cat with the blue eyes was nowhere to be found. "Where'd you go, Snowball?" Lily whispered. Thunder whined. He stood at the barn door, nose twitching, staring toward the tree line. "What is it, boy?" The dog barked once. Sharp. Urgent. "Did you find her?" Thunder barked again and took off running. "Thunder, wait." Lily chased after him, her short legs struggling through the knee-deep snow. The wind was picking up now, biting at her cheeks, sneaking under her scarf. She should go back. She knew she should go back. Grandma would be furious. But thunder was already disappearing into the trees. Thunder. She followed. The forest swallowed her within seconds. Pine trees rose around her like silent giants, their branches heavy with snow. The world went quiet. Too quiet. Just the sound of her own breathing and the crunch of her boots. Thunder. A bark echoed from somewhere ahead. Then another. Then a howl, long and mournful and desperate. Lily ran. She found him near the old logging road, the one that nobody used anymore since the mill closed down. Thunder was digging frantically at a mound of disturbed snow, his paws throwing up chunks of ice, his whole body trembling. "What are you doing, Thunder? Stop!" Then she saw the hand. It jutted out of the snow like a broken branch. Fingers curled skin gray-blue. A wedding ring glinted dully on the fourth finger. Lily's heart stopped. "Oh my God! Oh my God!" She dropped to her knees beside Thunder and started digging with her mittened hands. The snow was packed hard, crusted with ice, but she dug anyway, tears streaming down her face, freezing on her cheeks. A face emerged. A man's face, eyes closed, lips sealed with silver tape, frost in his dark hair. A bruise bloomed across his temple, purple and black. Mister, can you hear me?" She ripped off her mitten and pressed her bare hand to his cheek. Cold. So cold. But not frozen. Not yet. She clawed at the tape on his mouth, but it wouldn't budge. Her fingers were too numb, too clumsy. Then Thunder barked again and Lily looked up. There was another mound, 3 feet away, smaller. No. She scrambled through the snow and found the second body. A woman this time. Auburn hair matted with blood and ice. Her eyes were closed too, but her chest moved. Barely. A shallow rise and fall that could have been imagined. A badge glinted on her belt. Even covered in frost, Lily could read the word deputy. "They're police," Lily breathed. "Thunder, they're police." The dog stood over the man's body, whimpering, licking the frozen face as if trying to wake him. Lily's hands shook as she pulled off her backpack. The thermos. Grandma had given her hot cocoa this morning, insisted on it. She unscrewed the cap and poured a thin stream of warm liquid onto the tape covering the woman's mouth. The heat softened the adhesive. Lily peeled it away as gently as she could, revealing cracked, bloodless lips. "Please wake up. Please wake up." The woman's eyelids fluttered. "That's it. Come on. You can do it." A sound escaped the woman's throat. Half moan, half word. "Cold. I know you're cold. Help is coming. I promise help is coming." But Lily didn't know that. She didn't know anything except that she was 8 years old and alone in the woods with 2 dying strangers, and a storm bearing down on them all. She did the same for the man dripping cocoa onto the tape, working it free. His lips parted and a rattling breath escaped. He was alive. Barely. Lily pulled off her coat and laid it over the woman's chest. Then she unzipped her backpack and found the emergency radio her father had given her last Christmas. "In case you ever need me," he'd said. "Just press the button." She pressed it. "Hello. Hello. Can anyone hear me? This is Lily Beckett. I'm in the woods behind my grandma's farm. There's 2 people hurt. Really hurt. They're buried in the snow, and I think they're dying. Please, someone please help." Static. Then nothing. "Hello." Nothing. Lily looked at Thunder. The dog looked back at her eyes, amber and ancient and wise. "Stay with them, boy. Keep them warm." Thunder understood. He lay down between the 2 bodies, pressing his warm bulk against them, sharing what heat he had. Lily ran. She burst through this back door so hard it slammed against the wall. Eleanor spun from the sink, dish towel in hand, face white with shock. "Lily, where have you been?" "I was about to call the grandma. There's people in the woods. 2 people. They're buried in the snow, and they have tape on their faces and badges on their clothes, and Thunder found them, and I gave them cocoa. But they're so cold, Grandma, they're so cold." "Slow down." Eleanor grabbed Lily's shoulders. "Slow down and breathe. What people? Police. They're police. Someone buried them. Grandma. Someone hurt them and buried them and left them to die. Eleanor's face changed. The color drained away, replaced by something hard and sharp. Show me. Eleanor was 72 years old, but she moved through that snow like a woman half her age. She carried a blanket under one arm and a first aid kit in the other. Lily led the way, retracing her footprints, praying they weren't too late. Thunder was still there, still lying between the two bodies, still sharing his warmth. He lifted his head when they approached and barked once. Eleanor dropped to her knees beside the woman, checked her pulse, checked her breathing. Her lips moved in silent prayer. "She's alive," Eleanor said. "Lord have mercy, she's alive." "What about him?" Eleanor moved to the man, felt for his pulse, waited. Her face was unreadable. "Grandma." "He's alive too, but barely." She stood up, her knees cracking. "Lily, give me your radio." "It didn't work. I tried, but the trees block the signal. We need to get higher." Eleanor grabbed the radio and looked around, calculating. "Stay with them. Keep them talking if they wake up. Don't let them sleep." "Where are you going?" "Top of Miller's Ridge. I can get a signal there." "But Grandma, the storm." "I know about the storm." Eleanor's eyes were fierce. "I also know those are somebody's children lying in that snow, and I will not let them die on my land. You hear me?" Lily nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. Eleanor kissed her forehead hard and fast. "You did good, baby. You did so good. Now you stay strong for me. I'll be back with help." And then she was gone, disappearing into the white. Lily didn't know how long she knelt there. Minutes felt like hours. The wind howled through the trees and the snow fell thicker and the cold seeped through her clothes until she couldn't feel her fingers anymore. She talked to them, to both of them. She told them about her cat Snowball, and her dog Thunder, and her daddy who drove trucks, and her grandma who made the best apple pie in the county. She told them about her Uncle Thomas, who used to be a deputy just like them, who used to let her ride in his patrol car with the sirens on, who died on a Tuesday in September 3 years ago. Thunder was his dog, she said, her voice hoarse. He was the best police dog in Minnesota, maybe the whole country. Uncle Thomas said he could find anyone at all. And he found you. He knew you were here. He knew you needed help. The woman's eyes opened. Lily gasped. "You're awake. You're awake." The woman tried to speak, but only a croak came out. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused, wandering. "Don't try to talk. Help is coming. My grandma went to get help." The woman's hand moved. Slowly, painfully, she reached toward Lily. Her fingers closed around Lily's wrist. "Listen. What? I can't hear you." "Listen to me." Lily leaned closer. "The mine," the woman breathed. "Children in the mine. Don't trust." "Don't trust who?" "Don't trust who?" "Don't trust Hawk." The woman's eyes rolled back. Her grip went slack. Her head fell to the side. "Wait. Wake up." "What did you mean?" "Wake up." But the woman was unconscious again, her chest barely moving. Lily sat back, shaking. The mine. Children in the mine. Don't trust Hawk. What did it mean? What mine? What children? Thunder whined and pressed closer to Lily's side. She wrapped her arms around his neck and held on tight. "It's okay, boy. It's okay. Help is coming." She didn't know if she believed it. The sirens came 43 minutes later. Lily heard them first, distant, muffled by the snow, but growing louder. Then she saw the lights, red and blue, flickering through the trees. "Here!" she screamed, jumping up and waving her arms. "We're over here!" Men in heavy coats burst through the tree line. Paramedics with stretchers, firefighters with equipment, and leading them all a tall man with gray hair and a sheriff's star pinned to his chest. Sheriff Roy Hawkins. He stopped when he saw Lily. Something flickered across his face. Surprise. Fear. It was gone too fast to tell. "Well, I'll be damned," he said softly. "The Beckett girl." "They're hurt," Lily said. "They're really hurt. Please help them." Hawkins nodded to the paramedics and they swarmed the two bodies, checking vitals, loading them onto stretchers. Lily watched numb as they worked. A hand touched her shoulder. She looked up. "You did real good, sweetheart." It was Fire Chief Daniel Porter, a big man with kind eyes and a gentle voice. His son Jamie was in Lily's class at school. "Your grandma told us what happened. You saved their lives. Are they going to be okay?" Porter hesitated. "They're in bad shape, but they're alive because of you. That's more than they had an hour ago." They carried the stretchers past her, and Lily saw their faces clearly for the first time. The man was maybe her daddy's age with dark hair and a strong jaw. Even unconscious, he looked like someone who didn't give up easily. The woman was younger, pretty, with freckles scattered across her nose. The man's eyes opened. Lily's breath caught. He looked right at her, right into her. His lips moved, forming words she couldn't hear. She stepped closer. What did you say?" His hand shot out and grabbed her sleeve. His grip was weak, trembling, but desperate. "The mine," he gasped. "Don't let them." "The children." The same words, the same warning. Then the paramedics pulled him away, loaded him into the ambulance, and slammed the doors. Lily stood frozen in the snow, watching the lights disappear into the storm. Sheriff Hawkins was watching her. She could feel his eyes on her back like a cold hand. When she turned, he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Hell of a thing," he said, "finding them like that. Thunder found them, not me." "That right?" Hawkins looked at the old dog who was pressed against Lily's leg. Hackles raised a low growl, rumbling in his throat. "Loyal animal. He was my uncle's dog." "I remember." Hawkins' smile flickered. "Tom was a good man. Shame what happened to him." Lily didn't answer. Thunder's growl grew louder. "You should get home," Hawkins said. "Storm's getting worse. Don't want you getting lost out here." He walked away, boots crunching in the snow, and Lily watched him go. "Don't trust Hawk." The woman's words echoed in her head. Hawk. Hawkins. Was it possible? Was it possible that the sheriff, the man everyone trusted, the man who'd given the eulogy at Uncle Thomas's funeral, was involved in this now? It couldn't be. It was crazy. But Thunder was still growling, and Thunder had never been wrong about anyone. Eleanor was waiting on the porch when Lily got home. She ran down the steps and swept Lily into her arms, holding her so tight Lily couldn't breathe. "Don't you ever scare me like that again. You hear me ever?" "I'm okay, Grandma." "You're frozen solid is what you are. Get inside. Now." Eleanor wrapped Lily in blankets and sat her by the fire. She made hot soup and buttered bread and hovered like Lily might vanish if she looked away for even a second. "Grandma, eat your soup." "Grandma, listen." Lily's hands trembled around the bowl. The woman said something. Before she passed out, she said there are children in the mine, and she said don't trust Hawk. Eleanor went very still. "What mine? What children?" "I don't know, but she said it. Grandma, she said don't trust Hawk, and then the man said the same thing. The mine, the children." Eleanor's face was pale. Her hands gripped the edge of the counter. "What does it mean?" Lily pressed. "Grandma, what does it mean?" "It means nothing." Eleanor's voice was sharp, too sharp. "Those people were half dead. They didn't know what they were saying." "But, Lily." Eleanor turned and her eyes were hard. "You forget what they said. You understand me. You forget all of it. This is none of our business. They were buried alive. Grandma, someone tried to kill them. And the sheriff will find out who. That's his job, not yours, not mine. But what if... Enough." Eleanor slammed her hand on the counter. Lily flinched. "I said enough. You're 8 years old. This is not your burden to carry. Now finish your soup and go to bed." She stormed out of the kitchen. Lily heard her bedroom door slam. Thunder laid his head in Lily's lap. She stroked his ears, tears running down her cheeks. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. Her grandmother was scared. Lily had never seen her grandmother scared of anything in her life, but she was scared now. Why? That night, Lily couldn't sleep. The wind screamed outside her window. The old house creaked and groaned. Thunder lay at the foot of her bed, twitching in his sleep, chasing something in his dreams. Lily stared at the ceiling and thought about the two officers. She thought about their faces, blue and frozen. She thought about the tape on their mouths, the zip ties on their wrists, the shallow graves in the snow. Someone had done that to them. Someone had beaten them and bound them and buried them alive. Why? And why had they both said the same thing? The mine, the children. Lily sat up. Her laptop was on her desk. An old hand-me-down from her daddy, slow and clunky, but it worked. She opened it and typed, Cedar Hollow Mine. The search results loaded slowly. Most of them were about the old Grayson Mining Company. It had operated for 50 years, pulling iron ore out of the mountains until it closed in 1987. The tunnels were still there, people said. Miles and miles of them running under the mountains like veins. Lily scrolled further. Grayson Mining reopens for historical tours, bringing jobs back to Cedar Hollow. The article was from 3 years ago. There was a picture of a man cutting a ribbon in front of the old mine entrance. He was tall, silver-haired, wearing an expensive suit that looked out of place against the rusty equipment behind him. Victor Grayson, the caption read, philanthropist and businessman returns to revitalize his hometown. Lily stared at the picture. 3 years ago, the same time Uncle Thomas died. Coincidence. She clicked on another article, and another, and another. Victor Grayson donates $500,000 to Cedar Hollow Community Center. Victor Grayson funds new wing of Cedar Hollow Medical Clinic. Victor Grayson hosts annual Christmas dinner for town's senior citizens. Everyone loved him. Every article made him sound like a saint. But Lily remembered something her uncle had said once a few weeks before he died. They'd been sitting on this very porch watching the sunset, and Thomas had been quieter than usual. Uncle Thomas. What's wrong? Nothing, pumpkin, just thinking. About what? He'd looked at her with those serious eyes. About how sometimes the people who smile the most have the most to hide. She hadn't understood then. She thought she might be starting to understand now. Lily closed the laptop. Tomorrow. Tomorrow she would find out more. Tomorrow she would figure out what was happening in those mines and why 2 police officers had nearly died trying to expose it. She lay back down and pulled the covers to her chin. Thunder lifted his head and looked at her. We're going to find out the truth, boy, she whispered. Whatever it takes. Thunder's tail thumped once against the mattress. Outside, the storm raged on. He said, the next morning, the world was buried. 3 feet of snow had fallen overnight. The roads were impassable. The power was out. The phone lines were down. Cedar Hollow was cut off from the outside world, isolated, trapped. Lily helped her grandmother dig out the chicken coop and check on the horses. They worked in silence, the tension from last night still thick between them. When they came back inside, stamping snow from their boots, the battery-powered radio on the kitchen counter crackled to life. Update on the 2 officers found yesterday in the woods outside Cedar Hollow. Lily froze. Sergeant Nathan Cross and Deputy Clara Vance were airlifted to the Regional Medical Center in Minneapolis. Cross is in critical but stable condition. Vance is stable and conscious. Authorities are investigating the incident as an attempted murder. Murder. The word hung in the air like smoke. Anyone with information is asked to contact the sheriff's department. Eleanor turned off the radio. Her face was gray. They're alive, Lily said. Grandma, they're alive. For now. The knock on the door made them both jump. Eleanor's hand went to her chest. Who on earth? She crossed to the door and opened it. Sheriff Roy Hawkins stood on the porch snow, dusting his hat badge gleaming on his chest. Behind him, 2 deputies waited by a county SUV, its engine running. "Morning, Eleanor," Hawkins said. His voice was friendly. His eyes were not. "Mind if I come in? Got a few questions for your granddaughter." Eleanor didn't move. "What kind of questions?" "Just routine. She found those officers after all. Need to get her statement." "She's 8 years old, Roy. She's been through enough." "I understand that. But this is official business." He smiled. "Won't take long." Eleanor hesitated. Then slowly she stepped aside. Hawkins walked in stomping snow from his boots. His eyes swept the room, taking in everything: the old furniture, the family photos on the mantel, the dog pressed against Lily's legs. "Well now." He crouched down to Lily's level. "You're a real hero, you know that, finding those officers like you did." Lily said nothing. "Must have been scary." "Yes, sir. I bet." He tilted his head. "Tell me what happened, from the beginning." Lily told him. She told him about Snowball running away, about Thunder leading her to the mound, about finding the officers buried in the snow. She told him about the tape and the cocoa and the radio and running home for help. She didn't tell him what the officers had said. She didn't mention the mine or the children or the warning about Hawk. Something told her to keep that secret. Hawkins listened, nodding along his face, a mask of professional concern. "And they didn't say anything?" he asked when she finished. "Neither of them. They were unconscious." "The whole time?" "Yes, sir." Hawkins studied her. His eyes were pale blue cold as the snow outside. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." A long moment passed. Then Hawkins stood, his knees cracking. "All right then. Thank you for your time." He turned to Eleanor. "Keep her close now. Storm's not over, and whoever did this to those officers is still out there." "We'll be careful," Eleanor said tightly. Hawkins tipped his hat and walked to the door. He paused with his hand on the knob. "One more thing." He looked back at Lily. "That dog of yours, he's getting old, isn't he? Shame to see a good dog fade like that." Lily's blood went cold. Dogs like him, they get confused in their old age. Start seeing threats that aren't there. Acting out. Could be dangerous. "Thunder isn't dangerous," Lily said. "Maybe not." Hawkins' eyes held hers. "But accidents happen, especially in weather like this. You take good care of him now." He left. The door closed behind him. Lily stood shaking, Thunder pressed against her so hard she could feel his heartbeat through her clothes. It was a warning. She knew it was a warning. He knew she knew something. And he was telling her to stay quiet. Or else. Eleanor's hands gripped Lily's shoulders. "What did they say to you?" "What?" "Those officers. What did they say?" "Don't lie to me, Lily May. Not now." Lily looked into her grandmother's eyes. She saw fear there, but she also saw something else. Something fierce and determined. She told her everything. When she finished, Eleanor was silent for a long time. She walked to the window and stared out at the white wasteland beyond. "I was afraid of this," she murmured. "Afraid of what? There have been rumors. For years now. People disappearing near the mine. Trucks coming and going in the middle of the night. Strange men in town who don't talk to anyone." Eleanor's voice was bitter. "I told myself it was nothing. Gossip. Small-town nonsense. But it's not, is it?" Eleanor turned. Her eyes were wet. "No, baby. I don't think it is. What do we do?" "We stay quiet. We stay safe. We wait for the storm to pass, and then—" "No." Lily's voice was steady, stronger than she'd ever heard it. "Those officers almost died trying to find out the truth. And there are children, Grandma. Children in that mine. We can't just do nothing." "You're 8 years old." Uncle Thomas was brave. He would have done something. The words hit Eleanor like a slap. She staggered back, hand pressed to her heart. "Thomas is dead," she whispered, "because he tried to do something, because he asked the wrong questions. And now—" Her voice broke. Lily crossed the room and took her grandmother's hand. "I know," she said softly. I know he died, but he wouldn't want us to be scared. He would want us to fight. Eleanor looked down at her granddaughter, at this small, fierce, impossible child. You're just like him, she said. God help me, you're just like him. Thunder padded over and leaned against them both. His warm weight was steady, solid, reassuring. Eleanor wiped her eyes. All right, she said. All right, we'll figure this out, together, but carefully. Quietly. No one can know. No one, Lily agreed. Outside the wind howled, and somewhere in the darkness beneath the mountain, children waited. 3 days passed before the storm finally broke. Lily spent those days watching, listening, waiting. She helped her grandmother with chores during the day and lay awake at night, turning the mystery over in her mind like a stone she couldn't stop touching. The mine. The children. Don't trust Hawk. On the 4th morning, the sun broke through the clouds for the first time in almost a week. The snow glittered like crushed diamonds, and the world seemed impossibly bright after so much darkness. Eleanor stood at the kitchen window, coffee cup in hand, watching the snowplows rumble past on the distant highway. Roads are opening up, she said quietly. Lily looked up from her oatmeal. Does that mean Daddy's coming home? Called this morning. He's still 2 days out, maybe 3 depending on conditions. Lily's chest tightened. 2 more days. She'd hoped he would be here sooner. She needed him here sooner. The phone rang. Eleanor crossed to answer it, and Lily watched her grandmother's face change as she listened. The color drained away. Her hand gripped the receiver so hard her knuckles went white. I understand, Eleanor said. Yes, we'll be there. She hung up. Grandma. What is it? Eleanor didn't answer right away. She stood with her hand still on the phone, staring at nothing. That was the hospital, she finally said. Deputy Vance is awake. She's asking for you. Lily's heart lurched. For me? She wants to talk to the girl who saved her life. Eleanor's voice was strange tight. The FBI agent handling the case is there too. She wants to interview you. FBI? This is bigger than Cedar Hollow now, baby. Eleanor finally looked at her, and Lily saw fear in her eyes. Real fear. Get your coat. The drive to the regional hospital took almost 2 hours. The roads were plowed but treacherous, lined with walls of dirty snow higher than the truck. Eleanor drove in silence, both hands white-knuckled on the wheel. Lily sat in the passenger seat with Thunder's head in her lap. She stroked his ears and tried to calm the wild beating of her heart. Deputy Vance was alive, awake, asking for her. Maybe now she would get some answers. The hospital was a sprawling complex of gray concrete and tinted glass. Eleanor parked in the visitor lot and turned to Lily. Listen to me carefully, she said. You tell them the truth about finding those officers, but the rest of it, what they said to you, you keep that to yourself for now. You understand? But Grandma, if the FBI isn't from here. They don't know who to trust any more than we do. Eleanor's eyes were fierce. Until we know more, we stay quiet. Promise me. Lily hesitated. Then she nodded. I promise. They walked through the automatic doors into a lobby that smelled like antiseptic and floor wax. A woman in a dark suit was waiting for them near the information desk. She was tall, maybe 40, with sharp eyes and black hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. Mrs. Beckett, I'm Special Agent Monica Reyes, FBI. She flashed a badge. Thank you for coming. We didn't have much choice, Eleanor said coolly. Agent Reyes's expression didn't change. I understand this has been difficult, but your granddaughter is a key witness in a federal investigation. Her testimony could be crucial. She's 8 years old. I'm aware. Reyes crouched down to Lily's level. Her eyes were dark brown, serious, but not unkind. Hi, Lily. I know you've been through a lot. I just want to ask you some questions about what you saw. Is that okay? Lily looked up at her grandmother. Eleanor nodded slightly. Okay, Lily said. They took an elevator to the 4th floor. The hallway was quiet, lined with closed doors and the soft beeping of machines. 2 uniformed officers stood guard outside room 412. Deputy Vance requested to see the girl first, Reyes said. I'll conduct my interview afterward. Is that acceptable? Eleanor nodded. Reyes pushed open the door. The room was small and bright, filled with the hum of monitors and the sharp smell of medicine. Clara Vance lay propped against white pillows. Her auburn hair spread around her like a dark halo. Her face was pale, bruised, but her eyes were open and alert. When she saw Lily, something shifted in her expression. Something like hope. You're her, Clara whispered. You're the one who found us. Lily stepped forward, suddenly shy. Yes, ma'am. Come here, please. Lily approached the bed. Thunder followed his nails clicking on the linoleum. Clara reached out and took Lily's hand. Her grip was weak but warm. Thank you, she said, and her voice broke. Thank you for saving my life. Thunder found you. I just helped. Clara's eyes moved to the old dog. A faint smile crossed her lips. He's beautiful. What's his name? Thunder. He used to be a police dog. I can tell. Clara's smile faded. She looked at Lily with sudden intensity. I need to talk to you. Alone. Eleanor stepped forward. Absolutely not. Ma'am, please. It's important. Clara's eyes were desperate. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't life or death. Agent Reyes cleared her throat. Deputy Vance, I don't think... 5 minutes. Clara's voice was stronger now, harder. Give me 5 minutes with the girl. Then you can have your interview. Reyes and Eleanor exchanged glances. Something passed between them, some silent negotiation. We'll be right outside, Eleanor said finally. She pointed at Lily. You call out if you need anything. Anything at all. Yes, ma'am. The door closed. Lily was alone with Clara and Thunder. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Clara tugged Lily closer, so close their faces were almost touching. I don't have much time, Clara whispered. They'll be listening soon if they aren't already. I need you to remember what I'm about to tell you. Lily's heart hammered. I'm listening. Nathan and I were sent here to investigate Victor Grayson, the man who reopened the mine. Do you know him? I know who he is. He's running a trafficking operation, Lily. Human trafficking. He's using the old mining tunnels to move people, mostly children, across the border into Canada. We were about to get proof when they ambushed us. Lily felt sick. Children. Dozens of them, maybe more. They're keeping them in the tunnels in the deep sections that aren't on any maps. Clara's grip tightened. We found where they're holding them. The old northeast shaft behind the collapsed section. There's a hidden entrance through the ventilation system. Why are you telling me this? Because no one else will listen. Clara's eyes filled with tears. I tried to tell the sheriff 3 days before they took us. I went to his office with everything we had, and the next morning Nathan and I were ambushed. Lily's blood went cold. Sheriff Hawkins. He's part of it. He has to be. Someone tipped Grayson off, and only the sheriff knew what we were investigating. I knew it, Lily breathed. I knew there was something wrong with him. There's more. Clara glanced at the door, then back at Lily. Your uncle, Thomas Beckett. He was looking into this too. 3 years ago, right after Grayson reopened the mine. The world tilted. Lily grabbed the bed rail to steady herself. My uncle. He was getting close. Too close. They made it look like a random shooting, but it wasn't. Thomas was murdered because he knew too much. Lily couldn't breathe. Uncle Thomas, her brave, kind uncle who used to carry her on his shoulders and call her his little deputy. Murdered. I'm sorry. Clara's voice was gentle now. I'm so sorry. I know this is hard to hear. Who killed him? Lily's voice was barely a whisper. Who killed my uncle? I don't know. Not yet. But the answers are in that mine. Clara released Lily's hand and reached under her pillow. She pulled out a folded piece of paper and pressed it into Lily's palm. This is a map. Nathan drew it from memory before they took us. It shows how to get to the northeast shaft without being seen. Lily stared at the paper. What am I supposed to do with this? Get it to someone you trust, not the sheriff, not anyone in Cedar Hollow, The FBI agent seems clean, but I can't be sure. Trust no one until you know for certain. But I'm just a kid. I can't. You already saved 2 lives. Clara's eyes burned into hers. You're braver than you know, Lily Beckett, and right now you might be the only person in that town who can still stop this. The door opened. Agent Reyes stepped in, her expression unreadable. Time's up, she said. Lily, I need to speak with you now. Lily quickly shoved the paper into her coat pocket. She looked at Clara one last time. Be careful, Clara mouthed. Lily nodded. The interview with Agent Reyes lasted almost an hour. She asked about finding the officers, about the burial site, about anything suspicious Lily might have seen or heard. Lily told her the truth, most of it. She described finding the mound, digging them out, calling for help. She mentioned Sheriff Hawkins' visit and the strange way Thunder had growled at him. But she didn't mention the map burning a hole in her pocket. She didn't mention Clara's warning about Uncle Thomas. Not yet. Not until she knew who to trust. When the interview was over, Reyes walked them back to the lobby. She handed Eleanor a business card. If Lily remembers anything else, call me, day or night. We will, Eleanor said. Reyes crouched down to Lily's level one more time. You did a brave thing, Lily. Those officers would be dead if not for you. Thank you, ma'am. Reyes studied her for a long moment. Be careful out there. This isn't over. Then she was gone, disappearing through a door marked staff only. Eleanor grabbed Lily's hand and walked quickly toward the exit. She didn't speak until they were in the truck with the doors locked. What did she tell you? Eleanor demanded. Deputy Vance, what did she say? Lily reached into her pocket and pulled out the map. Eleanor's face went white. Dear God, she whispered. What have you gotten us into? They drove in silence for almost an hour. Then Eleanor pulled off the highway onto a back road, killed the engine, and turned to face Lily. Tell me everything. Lily did. Every word Clara had said. About Grayson. About the tunnels. About the children. About Uncle Thomas. When she finished, Eleanor was crying. Silent tears streamed down her weathered cheeks. I knew, she said, her voice cracking. In my heart, I knew Thomas's death wasn't random. But I told myself I was just a grieving mother looking for someone to blame. It wasn't your fault, Grandma. I should have pushed harder, should have asked more questions. Eleanor wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. That boy was everything to me. Everything. And they took him. Lily climbed across the seat and wrapped her arms around her grandmother. They held each other as the truck grew cold around them. Finally, Eleanor pulled back. Her face was set now, hard and determined. We can't do this alone, she said. We need help. But Clara said not to trust anyone. She said to be careful who we trust. That's different. Eleanor started the truck. There's one person in this town I'd stake my life on. Daniel Porter. The fire chief. He was your uncle's best friend. Served with him in the guard before Thomas became a deputy. Eleanor pulled back onto the road. If anyone in Cedar Hollow can be trusted, it's Danny. They drove to the Porter house on the edge of town. It was a small ranch with Christmas lights still strung along the gutters. Eleanor parked in the driveway and told Lily to wait in the truck. 5 minutes later, she came back with Daniel Porter. He was a big man with a bushy beard and kind eyes. He climbed into the truck's back seat, and Eleanor drove to an empty parking lot behind the closed hardware store. All right, Daniel said. I'm here. What's going on? Eleanor looked at Lily. Tell him. Lily told the story again. The discovery, the hospital, Clara's warning, the map. Daniel listened without interrupting. When she finished, his face was pale. Human trafficking, he said quietly. Under our noses this whole time. Do you believe us? Eleanor asked. I believe you. Daniel's jaw tightened. I never trusted Grayson. Man came into town throwing money around like he was trying to buy forgiveness for something. And Hawkins, he changed after Grayson showed up. Started driving a new truck, built that addition on his house. I wondered where the money came from. What do we do? Lily asked. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he leaned forward. My boy Jamie. He's been obsessed with those tunnels since Grayson reopened them. Says he found a back way in through the old ventilation shafts on the North Ridge. The map Clara gave me, Lily said. It shows the northeast shaft. That's got to be the same area. Daniel rubbed his beard. If we could get in there, get proof of what they're doing, we could take it straight to the FBI, bypass Hawkins completely. Absolutely not. Eleanor's voice was sharp. You're not sending children into those tunnels. I'm not suggesting we send them alone, but Jamie knows the way, and Lily's small enough to fit through spaces adults can't reach. Daniel held up his hands. I know how it sounds, but if those children are real, if they're being held down there right now, every hour we waste is an hour they suffer. Lily's heart pounded. She thought about the children in the darkness, alone, scared, waiting for someone to save them. I'll do it, she said. Lily? No. Eleanor grabbed her arm. I won't lose you too. You won't lose me. Lily met her grandmother's eyes. Thunder will be with me, and Mr. Porter will be right outside. If anything goes wrong, we'll run. This is insane. Uncle Thomas died trying to help those children. I can't just do nothing. The silence stretched. Eleanor's face twisted with anguish. I promised your daddy I'd keep you safe. You promised Uncle Thomas you'd be brave. Lily's voice was steady. I remember. I was at his funeral. You said you'd never let fear stop you from doing what's right. Eleanor closed her eyes. A tear slipped down her cheek. When did you grow up so fast? She whispered. I had good teachers. That night they made their plan. Daniel would talk to Jamie and get the details about the ventilation shaft entrance. Tomorrow morning before dawn, they would go to the North Ridge. Jamie would lead them to the shaft. Lily and Thunder would go in, find the children, and get proof photographs on Jamie's phone if possible. Daniel would wait at the entrance with Eleanor. If anything went wrong, he would call Agent Reyes directly. This is dangerous, Daniel said as they prepared to leave. You understand that, Lily? These aren't good people we're dealing with. I know. If they catch you, they won't. Lily looked at Thunder, who sat alert at her side. We're going to find those children, and we're going to bring them home. Daniel nodded slowly. Your uncle would be proud of you. The words hit her like a wave. She blinked back tears. I hope so. That night, Lily lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The map was under her pillow. Thunder was warm against her side. Tomorrow, everything would change. She thought about the children in the darkness. She thought about Uncle Thomas, who had died trying to save them. She thought about her father driving through the snow, not knowing that his daughter was about to walk into danger. I'm scared, Thunder, she whispered. The old dog lifted his head and licked her cheek. But I'm going to do it anyway. Thunder settled back down, his weight solid and reassuring. Lily closed her eyes. Sleep came slowly, but it came. The alarm went off at 4 a.m. Lily dressed quickly in the darkness, layering clothes for warmth. She grabbed her backpack, her flashlight, the map. She crept downstairs to find Eleanor already waiting in the kitchen. Her grandmother pressed a thermos into her hands. Hot cocoa. In case anyone needs warming up. Lily almost smiled. Thanks, Grandma. You come back to me. Eleanor's voice was fierce. You hear me. Whatever happens, you come back. I will. Thunder appeared at the back door, fully alert, sensing the importance of the moment. His eyes were bright, his body tense with readiness. The drive to the North Ridge took 20 minutes. The roads were empty, the world still dark. They met Daniel and Jamie at the trailhead, their breath fogging in the frozen air. Jamie Porter was 10 years old, with his father's build and his mother's nervous energy. He bounced on his heels as they approached. You really found those cops, he said to Lily. That's so cool. It wasn't cool. It was scary. Yeah, but you did it anyway. That's what makes it cool. Daniel handed each child a flashlight and a small walkie-talkie. Channel 7, you check in every 10 minutes. If I don't hear from you, I'm coming in. Understood. Yes, sir, they said together. Eleanor grabbed Lily's face in both hands. I love you more than life itself. I love you too, Grandma. Now go, and be careful." They started up the ridge. Jamie led the way, following a path invisible to anyone who didn't know it was there. He moved with confidence, ducking under branches, scrambling over rocks. Lily followed Thunder at her heels. After 15 minutes of climbing, Jamie stopped at a cluster of boulders half buried in snow. "There," he whispered, pointing. Lily looked. At first, she saw nothing. Then she noticed a gap in the rocks, barely visible, leading down into darkness. "The ventilation shaft," Jamie said. "It goes down about 50 feet, then connects to the main tunnel system. I've been inside a few times. It's tight in places, but we'll fit." Lily's heart pounded. "Let's go." They squeezed through the gap. The shaft was narrow, barely wide enough for Lily's shoulders, and dropped at a steep angle. She went first, using her hands and feet to control her descent. Thunder followed, somehow managing to navigate the tight space with surprising grace. Jamie brought up the rear. Down, down, down. The darkness swallowed them. Lily's flashlight carved a pale tunnel through the black. The air grew warmer as they descended, thick with the smell of earth and stone. After what felt like forever, the shaft leveled out and opened into a larger passage. Lily could finally stand upright. "Which way?" she whispered. Jamie consulted his phone, where he'd photographed Clara's map. "Northeast. Follow this tunnel for about 200 yards, then there should be a junction." They moved forward, footsteps echoing off the stone walls. Thunder walked ahead, his nose working his ears, pricked for any sound. The silence was oppressive. Lily could hear her own heartbeat, could hear the rasp of Jamie's breathing behind her. Then, Thunder stopped. He froze in place, hackles rising, a low growl building in his chest. "What is it, boy?" Lily whispered. From somewhere ahead, very faint, came the sound of crying. A child crying. Lily grabbed Jamie's arm. "Did you hear that?" His eyes were wide. "Yeah." They crept forward, following the sound. It grew louder as they approached the junction, a T intersection where 3 tunnels met. The crying was coming from the left passage. Lily pressed herself against the wall and peered around the corner. Her blood froze. A chamber opened up ahead, lit by harsh fluorescent lights rigged to the ceiling. Cages lined the walls, industrial dog kennels, repurposed for a horror beyond imagination. Inside the cages were children. Lily counted 11 of them, boys and girls ranging in age from maybe 6 to 14. They huddled in their cages, some sleeping, some crying, some staring at nothing with hollow eyes. 2 men stood guard near a heavy steel door at the far end of the chamber. They wore dark jackets with a gold logo on the chest. Security guards, Grayson's men. Lily pulled back, her whole body shaking. "We found them," she breathed. "Oh God, Jamie. We found them." Jamie's face was white. "We need to get pictures. Proof." He raised his phone, hands trembling, and snapped photos around the corner, trying to capture the cages, the guards, everything. One of the guards shifted, started walking toward their position. Lily grabbed Jamie and pulled him back into the shadows. They pressed against the cold stone, not breathing. The guard's footsteps grew closer, closer. Thunder let out a rumbling growl. "Shh," Lily whispered desperately. "Thunder, shh." But the dog wouldn't stop. He stepped forward, positioning himself between the children and the approaching threat, lips pulled back from his teeth. The guard rounded the corner. For one frozen moment, everyone stared at everyone else. Then the guard reached for his radio. Thunder lunged. The old dog hit the man square in the chest with a force that belied his age. They went down hard, the guard's radio clattering across the stone. Thunder's jaws clamped onto the man's arm and he screamed. "Run!" Lily shouted. But Jamie wasn't running. He was staring at something behind her, his face twisted with shock. Lily spun around. Sheriff Roy Hawkins stood at the junction, blocking their escape route. He held a pistol leveled at her chest. "Well now," he said softly. "This is a problem." Lily's world collapsed. She'd walked right into a trap, and now there was no way out. Hawkins kept the gun steady, his pale eyes never leaving Lily's face. "Call off your dog," he said calmly. "Now." Thunder still had the guard-pinned teeth sunk into his forearm. The man was whimpering, trying to crawl away. "Thunder," Lily said, her voice shaking. "Thunder, come." The old dog released his grip and backed toward Lily, positioning himself between her and the sheriff. Blood dripped from his muzzle. His growl never stopped. "Smart girl." Hawkins stepped closer. "Now hand over the phone." Jamie clutched it to his chest. "No. Boy, I'm not asking. You're going to kill us anyway." Jamie's voice cracked, but he didn't back down. "I'm not giving you anything." Hawkins sighed like a teacher disappointed in a slow student. "I'm not going to kill you. That would raise too many questions. 2 kids disappearing the same week those officers were found." He shook his head. "No, we're going to have a conversation, and then you're going to forget everything you saw down here." "We won't forget," Lily said. "We'll tell everyone." "Tell them what? That you snuck into an abandoned mine and saw some things that scared you." Hawkins smiled, and it was the coldest thing Lily had ever seen. "You're children. Nobody's going to believe you." "The FBI will believe us." Something flickered in Hawkins' eyes. Fear. Anger. It was gone too fast to tell. "Agent Reyes is being handled," he said. "By tomorrow morning, she'll be reassigned to a case in Montana. Budget cuts. Very unfortunate." Lily's stomach dropped. They'd thought of everything. They'd blocked every exit. The second guard had gotten to his feet, cradling his bleeding arm. "What do we do with them, boss?" Hawkins considered. "Put them with the others for now. I need to make some calls." "You can't do this," Jamie shouted. "My dad knows we're here. He's waiting outside right now. If we don't check in, he's calling the FBI." For the first time, Hawkins hesitated. "You're lying." "Channel 7. Jamie held up his walkie-talkie. "Go ahead. Listen for yourself." Hawkins snatched the radio from Jamie's hand and pressed the button. "Hello, anyone there?" Static. Then Daniel Porter's voice, sharp with worry. "Jamie, is that you?" "What's happening? You missed your check-in." Hawkins' face went pale. "Danny Porter," he breathed. "That interfering son of a—" He hurled the radio against the wall. It shattered into pieces. "Change of plans." His voice was tight, now urgent. "We need to move. All of it. Tonight." "Tonight?" The guard looked panicked. "The truck isn't coming until Thursday," Grayson said. "Grayson doesn't know Porter is involved. If we don't move now, this whole operation is blown." Hawkins grabbed his own radio. "Get everyone down here. Every man we have. We're clearing out." The next few minutes were chaos. More guards arrived, 6 in total, all wearing the same dark jackets with the gold logo. They moved through the chamber with brutal efficiency, unlocking cages, dragging children to their feet, binding their hands with zip ties. The children cried and screamed. Some begged. Some were too broken to do anything but stare. Lily watched in horror as a guard yanked a girl her own age out of a cage. The girl had dark hair and huge brown eyes, and she clutched a small wooden cross in her bound hands. "Please," the girl whimpered. "Please, I want my mama." The guard shoved her toward the line of children being herded toward the steel door at the far end of the chamber. "Move." Lily couldn't stand it anymore. "Leave her alone," she screamed. Every head turned toward her. The girl with the cross looked at Lily, and something passed between them. Recognition. Hope. A desperate plea. Hawkins grabbed Lily's arm and squeezed hard enough to bruise. "You want to help her? Then shut up and cooperate. The more trouble you cause, the worse it gets for everyone." He shoved Lily and Jamie toward the line of children. A guard zip-tied their hands behind their backs. Thunder lunged, snapping at the guard, but another man kicked the dog hard in the ribs. Thunder yelped and went down. "No!" Lily struggled against her bonds. "Thunder!" The old dog staggered to his feet, ribs heaving, but he didn't attack again. He limped to Lily's side and pressed against her leg, whimpering. "Move out," Hawkins ordered. They marched through the tunnels in a ragged line. 11 children from the cages plus Lily and Jamie. 13 souls bound and terrified, being led deeper into the mountain. Lily tried to count the turns, tried to memorize the route, but the tunnels all looked the same. Rough stone walls, bare bulbs strung along the ceiling. The endless drip of water somewhere in the darkness. The girl with the cross walked beside her. Up close, Lily could see the bruises on her arms, the dirt on her face, the way her hands trembled. "What's your name?" Lily whispered. "Maria." "I'm Lily. I'm going to get us out of here." Maria's eyes filled with tears. "They said no one would come for us. They said our families forgot us. They lied. People are looking for you right now. My grandma Jamie's dad, the FBI. They know we're here." "Quiet." A guard shoved Lily forward. "No talking." They walked for what felt like hours, but was probably only 20 minutes. The tunnel sloped downward, taking them deeper underground. The air grew thick and stale. Finally, they emerged into a massive cavern. Lily's breath caught. Trucks. 3 of them, huge 18-wheelers, parked in a row. Their engines were running, filling the cavern with the rumble of diesel and the stink of exhaust. Men moved everywhere, loading crates into the trucks, shouting orders, checking clipboards. This wasn't just a holding area. It was a distribution center. A command post had been set up near the trucks. Folding tables covered with maps and radios and laptops. And standing at the center of it all, silver hair gleaming under the harsh lights, was Victor Grayson. He looked up as Hawkins approached, and his face twisted with anger. "What is this?" Grayson demanded. "Why are there children out of containment?" "We have a problem," Hawkins explained quickly. "Eleanor Beckett, Daniel Porter, the FBI agent, the photographs on Jamie's phone." With each word, Grayson's expression grew darker. "You let an 8-year-old girl compromise a 3-year operation," he said softly. "An 8-year-old girl and her dog. It's under control. We're moving everything tonight. By morning, there'll be nothing left to find." "And the witnesses," Hawkins hesitated. "They're children, Victor. If they disappear—" "I didn't ask for your opinion." Grayson's voice was ice. "I asked what you intend to do with the witnesses." The silence stretched. Lily's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst through her chest. "They go with the shipment," Grayson finally said. "Across the border. By the time anyone realizes they're missing, they'll be untraceable." "You can't!" Hawkins's voice was strained. "These aren't runaways or migrants. These are local kids. People will look for them. Then they'll look forever." Grayson turned away. "Load them up. We leave in 30 minutes." Guards grabbed Lily and Jamie, dragging them toward the nearest truck. Thunder barked and snapped, but a guard held him back with a catch-pole around his neck. "Thunder!" Lily screamed. "Let him go, please." Nobody listened. They lifted her into the back of the truck, into a space that smelled like sweat and fear and despair. The other children were already there, huddled together in the darkness. Maria reached for Lily's hand, and Lily grabbed it, holding on tight. Jamie landed beside her, his face pale but determined. "I sent the photos," he whispered. "What?" "Before they took my phone, I sent the photos to my dad." Jamie's eyes were fierce. "He knows everything." Hope flared in Lily's chest. "He'll come for us. He'll bring everyone." The truck's engine roared. The vehicle lurched forward. They were moving. Lily pressed her face to a crack in the truck's wall, watching the cavern slide past. She saw guards scrambling equipment being loaded, Grayson barking orders. She saw Hawkins standing apart from the others, his face troubled, his hand resting on his gun. And then the cavern was gone, and there was only darkness. The truck rumbled through the tunnels for what felt like forever. The children huddled together for warmth, too scared to speak. Maria's hand never left Lily's. Thunder wasn't with them. They'd kept him in the cavern. Lily couldn't stop thinking about him alone and scared a catch-pole around his neck. "We have to do something," she whispered to Jamie. "I know, but what?" Lily looked around the truck. 13 children, all bound, all terrified. No weapons, no tools, no way out. Then she noticed it. A loose bolt on the floor, half hidden in the shadows. It must have come from one of the crates that had been loaded earlier. She scooted toward it, trying not to attract attention from the guard riding in the back with them. He sat near the door, a rifle across his lap, eyes half closed. Lily worked the bolt into her hands. It was small, maybe 2 inches long, but the end was sharp. She started sawing at the zip tie around her wrists. The plastic was tough. Her fingers cramped. The bolt slipped and cut her palm, drawing blood. She bit her lip to keep from crying out and kept sawing. Minutes passed. The truck bounced over rough terrain. The guard shifted but didn't wake. Finally, the zip tie snapped. Lily's hands were free. She passed the bolt to Jamie and started working on Maria's bonds. One by one, she freed the children nearest to her, passing the bolt down the line, whispering instructions. Don't move. Don't make a sound. Wait for my signal. The truck slowed. The guard's eyes opened. He looked around, suddenly alert. What's going on? Why are we stopping? The truck's door flew open. Blinding light flooded in. Lily threw her arm over her eyes. Voices, shouting, the crack of gunfire. FBI, everyone on the ground. Now. The guard raised his rifle. A shot rang out and he crumpled. Lily grabbed Maria's hand. Run! Everyone run! Children poured out of the truck, scattering into the chaos. Lily jumped down and hit the ground hard, pain shooting through her ankles. They were outside. Somehow they'd made it outside. The tunnel must have led to an exit on the far side of the mountain. Snow swirled in the air, thick and blinding. The storm had gotten worse. Federal agents swarmed everywhere, taking down guards securing vehicles. Red and blue lights flashed through the white. Lily. She turned. Daniel Porter was running toward her, his face twisted with relief and fear. Behind him came Eleanor, moving faster than Lily had ever seen her move. Grandma! She ran to them and was swept up in Eleanor's arms, held so tight she couldn't breathe. Thank God. Eleanor was sobbing. Thank God, thank God. Thunder! Lily gasped. They still have Thunder. He's in the cavern. We'll get him. Daniel's face was grim. The FBI is moving in now. They'll find him. I have to go back. Absolutely not. Eleanor's grip tightened. You're not going anywhere. But Thunder. Lily. Eleanor pulled back and looked into her eyes. Thunder would want you safe. You know that. Lily did know, but it didn't make it hurt any less. The next hour was chaos. FBI agents moved through the tunnel complex, clearing room after room. They found the cages. They found the equipment. They found ledgers and shipping manifests, and enough evidence to bring down the entire operation. They found Victor Grayson trying to escape through a secondary exit. He'd made it 50 yards into the snow before they caught him. They found most of his men. Some surrendered. Some fought. None escaped. But they didn't find Sheriff Hawkins. And they didn't find Thunder. Lily sat in the back of an ambulance, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, watching the FBI agents swarm around the tunnel entrance. Eleanor sat beside her, holding her hand. He got away, Lily said. Hawkins got away. They'll find him. He can't run forever. What about Thunder? Eleanor didn't answer. An agent approached. It was Monica Reyes, her dark coat dusted with snow, her face exhausted but victorious. You did it, she said to Lily. We got them all. The children, the records, everything. This is the biggest human trafficking bust in Minnesota history. Did you find my dog? Reyes's expression softened. Not yet. We're still searching the tunnels. There are miles of them. He's in there somewhere. I know he is. We'll keep looking, I promise. Lily nodded, but the weight in her chest didn't lift. She'd saved the children. She'd helped bring down a monster. But without Thunder, it didn't feel like victory. The hours passed. Dawn approached. Most of the children had been loaded into ambulances and taken to the hospital. Maria had hugged Lily before they separated, whispering, "Thank you," in her ear. You saved us, she said. You came when nobody else would. Lily didn't feel like a hero. She felt tired and scared and empty. Eleanor tried to get her to leave to go home and rest, but Lily refused. She sat in the snow outside the tunnel entrance, watching every agent who emerged, hoping to see a familiar shape. The sky was turning pink at the edges when she heard it. A bark. Faint. Far away. But unmistakable. Lily jumped to her feet. Thunder. Another bark. Stronger this time. Coming from inside the tunnel. She ran. Lily, wait! Eleanor shouted. She didn't wait. She plunged into the tunnel, following the sound of barking, her heart pounding in her ears. The passage twisted and turned. She passed FBI agents who tried to stop her, dodged around them, kept running. The barking grew louder. She rounded a corner and saw him. Thunder stood in the middle of a small chamber, tail wagging, tongue lolling. His fur was matted with dirt and blood, but he was alive. And at his feet, slumped against the wall, was Sheriff Roy Hawkins. Lily froze. Hawkins looked up. His face was gray, his breathing shallow. A dark stain spread across his shirt. "He found me," Hawkins said, his voice barely a whisper. "Tracked me for hours. Wouldn't let me leave." Thunder growled, his body tense, standing guard over his prisoner. "Good boy." Lily's voice shook. "Good boy, Thunder." She knelt beside Hawkins, keeping her distance. "Why didn't you run? You could have gotten away." "Couldn't." Hawkins coughed and blood flecked his lips. "One of Grayson's men shot me. Thought I was going to talk." "Were you?" Hawkins was quiet for a long moment. His eyes drifted to some point beyond Lily, seeing something she couldn't see. "I was a good cop once," he said. 20 years ago, before Grayson, before the money." "What happened?" "Debt, greed, fear." He laughed bitterly. "The usual poisons. Grayson offered me a way out, and I took it. Told myself it wasn't my business what happened in those tunnels." "You let children suffer." "I know." Tears leaked from the corners of his eyes. "I know what I am. But I didn't kill those officers. I swear to you. I didn't know Grayson was going to do that." "You knew they were investigating him. You tipped him off." "Yes, but I thought he'd just scare them. Send them away." Hawkins' voice broke. "I didn't know he'd try to murder them." Lily felt nothing. No sympathy, no hatred. Just cold, empty clarity. "My uncle," she said. "Thomas Beckett. Did you know about him?" Hawkins flinched. "I didn't pull the trigger." "But you knew." "I suspected, after it happened." He closed his eyes. "Thomas was getting too close, asking too many questions. Then he was dead, and I told myself it was just a coincidence. But you knew it wasn't. Knew it." "I knew." The word came out as a sob. "I've known for 3 years. I've lived with it for 3 years, and I deserve everything that's coming." FBI agents burst into the chamber, weapons drawn. "Step away from him," Reyes shouted. Lily moved back. Lily stood slowly. She looked down at Hawkins one last time. "My uncle was a hero," she said, "and you let them kill him." She turned and walked away. Thunder followed. Behind her, she heard the agents securing Hawkins, calling for a medic. She didn't look back. She emerged from the tunnel into the gray light of dawn. Eleanor was waiting, her face streaked with tears. "You found him," she breathed. "Oh, baby, you found him." Lily fell into her grandmother's arms. Thunder pressed against them both, his warm weight a comfort. They stood there as the sun rose over the mountains, 3 survivors, holding on to each other in the snow. It was over. It was finally over. But as the warmth of relief washed over her, Lily knew that the road ahead was still long. There would be trials and testimony and endless questions. There would be nightmares and healing and slow, painful recovery. And somewhere in a hospital in Minneapolis, 2 officers were waking up to learn that an 8-year-old girl and her dog had finished what they started. The children were safe. The monsters were caught. And Cedar Hollow would never be the same. The days after the rescue blurred together like watercolors in rain. Lily slept for 16 hours straight that first day. Thunder curled at her feet, both of them too exhausted to dream. When she finally woke, the house was full of people she didn't recognize. FBI agents asking questions, social workers checking on her welfare, reporters camped at the end of the driveway, their cameras flashing every time someone opened a curtain. Eleanor handled them all with the fierce efficiency of a woman who had survived worse. She answered the agents' questions, turned away the reporters, and made sure Lily ate 3 meals a day, even when she said she wasn't hungry. "You need your strength," Eleanor said, pushing a bowl of soup across the table. "The fight isn't over yet." She was right. The news broke on every channel within hours of the rescue. Human trafficking ring exposed in rural Minnesota. 13 children rescued. Prominent businessman Victor Grayson arrested. The story was everywhere. And at the center of it all was an 8-year-old girl named Lily Beckett. Lily didn't want to be famous. She didn't want reporters shouting her name or strangers sending letters to her grandmother's house. She just wanted things to go back to normal. But normal was gone. She understood that now. On the third day, her father came home. Marcus Beckett's truck pulled into the driveway at 7 in the morning, tires crunching on the frozen gravel. Lily heard the engine and was out the door before Eleanor could stop her. "Daddy." Marcus caught her mid-run, sweeping her up into his arms, holding her so tight she could feel his whole body shaking. "My baby girl." His voice cracked. "My brave, stupid, beautiful baby girl." "I'm sorry," Lily sobbed into his shoulder. "I'm sorry I scared you." "Don't you ever apologize." Marcus pulled back to look at her, his eyes red and wet. "You saved those children. You did what grown men were too scared to do." "I had to, Daddy. I had to help them." "I know." He pressed his forehead to hers. "I know you did. That's who you are. That's who your mama raised you to be." They stood there in the cold for a long time, holding each other, saying nothing. When they finally went inside, Eleanor was waiting at the kitchen table. Her face was pale, her hands trembling around a cup of coffee. "Mom," Marcus set Lily down. "What's wrong?" "Sit down, Marcus, both of you." They sat. Eleanor took a deep breath. "I got a call from the hospital this morning. Deputy Vance is asking to see Lily again." "Absolutely not." Marcus's voice was sharp. "She's been through enough." "There's more." Eleanor's eyes met Lily's. "Sergeant Cross is awake. He's asking for her too. He says he has something to tell her. Something about Thomas." The room went silent. Marcus's face hardened. "What about Thomas?" "I don't know. He wouldn't say." Eleanor reached across the table and took Lily's hand. "But I think we need to hear it, whatever it is." They drove to the hospital that afternoon. The same gray building, the same antiseptic smell, but everything felt different now. The guards at the door knew Lily's name. The nurses smiled at her as she passed. Room 418 was bigger than Clara's room had been. Nathan Cross lay propped against a mountain of pillows, his dark hair clean, now his face still bruised but alive. So alive. He smiled when he saw her. "There she is," he said. The girl who saved my life." Lily didn't know what to say. She just stood there clutching her father's hand. "Come in." Nathan gestured to the chairs beside his bed. "Please. I've been waiting to meet you properly." They sat. Eleanor, Marcus, Lily. Thunder lay at Lily's feet, his head resting on his paws. Nathan's eyes lingered on the dog. "Clara told me about him. Said he wouldn't leave your side the whole time she was talking to you." "He's my best friend," Lily said. "I can see that." Nathan's smile faded. "I asked to see you because I owe you the truth. All of it. About what we were investigating and about your uncle." Marcus leaned forward. "What do you know about my brother?" "Everything." Nathan's voice was heavy. "Thomas Beckett was the reason we were sent to Cedar Hollow in the first place." The story came out slowly, painfully. 3 years ago, Nathan explained Thomas Beckett had contacted the FBI with concerns about Victor Grayson. He'd noticed irregularities at the mine. Trucks arriving at strange hours, security guards who didn't act like security guards. Children's clothing in a dumpster behind the visitor center. Thomas had started investigating on his own, gathering evidence, taking photographs. He'd compiled a file and sent it to the Minneapolis field office requesting assistance. The FBI had opened a case. They'd been preparing to send agents to Cedar Hollow when Thomas was killed. The official report said it was a random shooting, Nathan said. Wrong place, wrong time, but we knew better. The timing was too convenient. Grayson had him killed, Marcus said flatly. We believe so. We just couldn't prove it. Nathan's jaw tightened. After Thomas died, the investigation stalled. Witnesses went silent. Evidence disappeared. Someone inside law enforcement was protecting Grayson and we didn't know who. Hawkins, Lily said. Yes. We suspected him, but we had no proof. That's why Claire and I were sent in undercover. We were supposed to pick up where Thomas left off, gather enough evidence to bring down the whole operation. And they caught you, Eleanor said. They were waiting for us. Nathan's eyes darkened. We'd arranged to meet a witness, someone who claimed to have information about the tunnels. It was a trap. Grayson's men ambushed us, took us to the mine, and... He stopped, swallowed hard. You know the rest. Silence filled the room. Lily thought about her uncle, about his laugh, his smile, the way he used to swing her around until she was dizzy. She thought about him lying dead on a roadside somewhere, killed for trying to do the right thing. Did you find proof? She asked quietly. About who killed him? Nathan nodded slowly. In the evidence we recovered from the mine, Grayson kept records of everything. Payments to hitmen, communications with Hawkins. There's enough to charge them both with conspiracy to commit murder. Marcus made a sound low in his throat. Not quite a sob, not quite a scream. Something between. Eleanor reached over and took his hand. Your brother was a hero, Nathan said. He died trying to protect those children. And because of him, because of his work, we were able to bring this whole thing down. Because of Lily. Clara's voice came from the doorway. She stood there in a hospital gown and robe, one hand gripping an IV stand. A nurse hovered behind her, looking worried. Deputy Vance, you should be in bed. In a minute. Clara limped into the room and lowered herself into an empty chair. Her eyes found Lily's. Nathan's right that Thomas started this, but you finished it. An 8-year-old girl and her dog did what the FBI couldn't do for 3 years. Lily felt her cheeks flush. I just followed Thunder. You did more than that. Clara leaned forward. You trusted your instincts. You didn't give up. When powerful men told you to stay quiet, you found another way. She reached out and squeezed Lily's hand. That's not luck. That's courage. The nurse finally succeeded in ushering Clara back to her room. Nathan promised to keep them updated on the case, and they left the hospital in silence. In the truck, Marcus stared straight ahead, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. I should have been here, he said. All this time driving across the country while my daughter was risking her life. You couldn't have known, Eleanor said. I should have been here. His voice broke. When Sarah died, I ran. I buried myself in work because I couldn't stand being in that house without her. And I left Lily with you, and I told myself it was better that way. Marcus. No. He pulled the truck to the side of the road and turned to face Lily in the back seat. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You deserved better than a father who was never around. Lily unbuckled her seatbelt and climbed into the front seat, squeezing between her father and grandmother. You're here now, she said. That's what matters. Marcus pulled her close. I'm not leaving again, I swear to you. Whatever it takes, I'm staying. Eleanor wrapped her arms around them both. We're a family. That's what families do. They stay. Thunder barked from the back seat as if adding his agreement. For the first time in days, Lily smiled. The trial began 6 weeks later. The federal courthouse in Minneapolis was a fortress of marble and glass, surrounded by news vans and protesters and crowds of people who had come to witness justice. Victor Grayson sat at the defense table in a charcoal suit, his silver hair immaculate, his face a mask of arrogant calm. He'd hired the best lawyers money could buy, and they'd spent weeks trying to suppress evidence, discredit witnesses, delay proceedings. It hadn't worked. The prosecution's case was overwhelming. Ledgers detailing payments to corrupt officials, photographs of the tunnels and the cages, testimony from the rescued children from FBI agents, from guards who had turned on their employer in exchange for reduced sentences. And at the center of it all, a small girl in a blue dress sitting in the witness box with a German shepherd at her feet. Lily had been terrified to testify. She'd had nightmares for weeks, dreaming of Grayson's cold eyes, Hawkins' threats, the children crying in their cages. But when the moment came, something shifted inside her. She looked at Grayson across the courtroom, and she wasn't afraid anymore. She was angry. This man had hurt children. He had killed her uncle. He had tried to kill her. He didn't deserve her fear. Miss Beckett, the prosecutor said gently, Can you tell the court what you saw in those tunnels? Lily told them. She told them about the cages and the crying and the guards with their dark jackets. She told them about Maria clutching her wooden cross, about the other children with their hollow eyes and bruised arms. She told them about Grayson's voice, cold and calculating, ordering them loaded into trucks like cargo. She told them about Thunder, who had fought to protect her, about Jamie, who had sent the photographs that brought the FBI, about her grandmother, and Daniel Porter, who had risked everything to save them. When she finished, the courtroom was silent. Grayson's lead attorney rose for cross-examination. He was a tall man with expensive glasses and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Miss Beckett," he said smoothly, "you're 8 years old, correct?" "Yes, sir." "And you were in those tunnels for what, less than an hour?" "About that. In the dark, while you were scared and confused." Lily's chin lifted. "I was scared. I wasn't confused." "But isn't it possible that you misunderstood what you saw, that your imagination—" "I know what I saw." Lily's voice was steady. "I saw children in cages. I saw guards with guns. I saw Mr. Grayson ordering his men to move us across the border." She looked directly at Grayson. "I didn't imagine any of it." The attorney tried a few more questions, but Lily didn't waver. She answered each one clearly, calmly, with a certainty that seemed to fill the room. When she finally stepped down from the witness stand, the prosecutor caught her eye and nodded once. She had done well. The verdict came 3 days later. Victor Grayson, guilty on all counts: conspiracy to commit murder, human trafficking, kidnapping, attempted murder of federal officers. The judge's voice rang through the courtroom like a bell. "This court sentences you to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole." Grayson didn't flinch. He stared straight ahead as the bailiffs approached his face, empty, his eyes dead. As they led him away, he passed within feet of Lily's seat. For just a moment, his gaze met hers. "This isn't over," he said softly. "Little girls don't get to destroy empires without consequences." Marcus lunged forward, but Eleanor held him back. "He's going to prison forever," she whispered. "Don't give him the satisfaction." Grayson was escorted out. The doors closed behind him. It was over. The other trials followed in quick succession. Mayor Bradley Cole, 25 years for corruption and conspiracy. Dr. Helen Marsh, 20 years for falsifying documents and providing sedatives to trafficking victims. The guards, Grayson's lieutenants, the truck drivers who had transported human cargo across state lines. One by one, they faced justice. Sheriff Roy Hawkins was last. His trial was different. Smaller, quieter, held in a county courthouse closer to Cedar Hollow. He had pleaded guilty to most charges in exchange for his testimony against Grayson. But there was one charge he hadn't pleaded to. One count that would determine whether he spent the rest of his life in prison or saw daylight again. Conspiracy to commit murder, in the death of Deputy Thomas Beckett. Lily sat in the gallery with her father and grandmother watching Hawkins take the stand. He looked smaller than she remembered. Older. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something that might have been shame. "Mr. Hawkins," the prosecutor said, "did you inform Victor Grayson that Deputy Thomas Beckett was investigating his operation?" Hawkins hesitated. His eyes found Lily's in the crowd. "Yes," he said quietly. "I told him." "And what did Grayson say?" "He said he would take care of it." "Did you know what that meant?" A long pause. "I suspected. But you didn't try to stop it." "No," Hawkins' voice cracked. "God help me, I didn't." The courtroom waited. 2 weeks later, the prosecutor continued. Thomas Beckett was shot to death on Highway 12. A supposed random crime. No witnesses, no suspects. "I know." "Did you investigate the case, Sheriff Hawkins?" "I was assigned to it. Yes." "And what did you find?" Hawkins bowed his head. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "Nothing. I found nothing because I wasn't looking. I closed the case as unsolved because I knew if I looked too hard, I'd find Grayson's fingerprints all over it." He looked up, tears streaming down his face. "Thomas Beckett was a good man, a good cop. He deserved better than what I gave him." The prosecutor turned away. No further questions. The defense attorney rose, but Hawkins waved him off. I'm done hiding, he said. I'm done lying. He looked at the jury, then at the gallery, then at Lily. I didn't pull the trigger, but I loaded the gun. I pointed it at Thomas Beckett as surely as if I'd been standing on that highway myself, and I have to live with that for whatever time I have left. The verdict came within hours. Guilty. 20 years to life with no possibility of parole for 15 years. As the bailiffs led him away, Hawkins stopped in front of Eleanor's seat. Mrs. Beckett, he said, I know it doesn't mean anything. I know words can't bring him back, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did and for what I didn't do, and for every day your family suffered because of my cowardice. Eleanor stood. Her face was hard, unreadable. My son believed in you, she said. He trusted you with his life. I know. You betrayed that trust. You betrayed him and this town, and every oath you ever took. Hawkins nodded, accepting it. Eleanor's voice softened, just barely. But you also stopped running. In the end, you told the truth. That's something. It's not enough. No. Eleanor's eyes were wet. It's not. But it's a start. She turned away. Marcus put his arm around her and guided her toward the exit. Lily lingered for just a moment. She looked at Hawkins, at this broken man who had once seemed so powerful, so untouchable. My uncle forgave people, she said, even when they didn't deserve it. He said holding on to hate was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Hawkins' face crumpled. I don't forgive you, Lily continued. Not yet, maybe not ever. But I'm going to try not to hate you, because that's what Uncle Thomas would want. She walked away, thunder padding at her side. Behind her, she heard Hawkins begin to sob. 2 weeks later, the commendation ceremony was held at the Cedar Hollow fire station. It was a small affair. Local officials, FBI representatives, the rescued families, the people who had fought and bled and risked everything to bring down Grayson's empire. Agent Reyes stood at the podium, reading from a prepared statement. For extraordinary courage in the face of danger. For selfless action that saved the lives of 13 children and 2 federal officers. The FBI is proud to present this certificate of recognition to Lily Mae Beckett. Applause filled the room. Lily walked forward, cheeks burning, to accept the framed certificate. Reyes shook her hand. You're the bravest kid I've ever met. I had help. Reyes smiled. That brings me to our next honoree. She turned to the crowd. For exceptional service in the line of duty for tracking and apprehending a fleeing suspect, despite advanced age and injury, I present this official commendation to Thunder. Thunder's ears perked at his name. He trotted forward, tail wagging, and sat at perfect attention beside Lily. A representative from the state police stepped forward with a medal on a ribbon. She crouched down and fastened it to Thunder's collar. You're an honorary K-9 officer now, she said. Officially reinstated. Thunder barked once. The crowd laughed and cheered. Lily knelt and threw her arms around the old dog's neck. Uncle Thomas would be so proud of you, she whispered. So proud. Thunder licked her face. After the ceremony, the families gathered outside. The sun was shining for the first time in what felt like months. The snow was finally starting to melt. Maria found Lily by the flagpole. The little girl with the wooden cross had been placed with a foster family in Minneapolis, but she'd made the trip back for the ceremony. Lily, she ran forward and hugged her tightly. I wanted to see you. I wanted to thank you. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. Maria pulled back her dark eyes, serious. You came into the dark to find us. When everyone else forgot, you remembered. Lily didn't know what to say. She just hugged Maria again. Will I see you again? Maria asked. Anytime you want. Lily smiled. We're friends now. Forever. Maria smiled back, bright and real. Forever. As the crowd began to disperse, Nathan Cross approached. He was out of the hospital now, still moving carefully, but stronger every day. Hell of a day, he said. Yes, sir. Nathan looked at Thunder, at the metal gleaming on his collar. He reminds me of a dog I knew once, back when I was a rookie. Same breed, same eyes, like they could see right through you. Thunder sees everything, Lily said. I believe it. Nathan was quiet for a moment. I'm being reassigned next month. New case, new city. But I wanted you to know I'll never forget what you did. None of us will. Will Clara stay? She's taking over as sheriff. Interim for now, but I think they'll make it permanent. Nathan smiled. Cedar Hollow's going to be in good hands. He shook Lily's hand, patted Thunder on the head, and walked away. Lily watched him go, feeling something settle inside her. Closure, maybe, or the beginning of it. Her father appeared at her side. Ready to go home? Yeah. She took his hand. I'm ready. They walked to the truck together, Thunder at their heels. Eleanor was already waiting in the passenger seat, her face tired but peaceful. As Marcus started the engine, Lily looked out the window at the fire station, at the flag waving in the breeze, at the town that had almost been destroyed by evil men. It would take time to heal. Years, maybe. But it would heal. Because that's what people did. They survived. They rebuilt. They found the courage to keep going even when the darkness seemed overwhelming. Lily understood that now. She rested her head against Thunder's warm flank and closed her eyes. The road home was long, but she wasn't walking it alone. Spring came slowly to Cedar Hollow. The snow retreated inch by inch, revealing brown grass and muddy roads and a world that had been frozen for far too long. Flowers pushed through the thawing earth. Birds returned to the bare branches. The air lost its bite and turned soft, carrying the smell of wet soil and new beginnings. A year had passed since that terrible winter. Lily Beckett stood at the kitchen window, watching the morning light spread across the farm. She was 9 years old now, taller by 2 inches, her honey brown hair longer and often pulled back in a ponytail. But her eyes were the same, green and clear and watchful, the eyes of someone who had seen too much and survived it anyway. Thunder lay at her feet, grayer than ever, his muzzle almost completely white. He moved slower these days, his joints stiff, his breathing sometimes labored. The vet said he was doing well for his age, but Lily could see the truth. Her old friend was fading. She tried not to think about it. Lily? Eleanor's voice rang from the hallway. Your father's here. Lily grabbed her jacket and ran outside. Marcus's truck was parked in the driveway, freshly washed, gleaming in the sunlight. He stood beside it, grinning. Ready for the big day? I've been ready for weeks. Today was the dedication ceremony for the Thomas Beckett Memorial Park. The old Grayson mining property had been seized by the federal government, remediated and transformed into a public space. A place of healing, they called it. A place to remember. The whole town would be there. The rescued children and their families. The FBI agents who had worked the case. Clara Vance now. Sheriff Vance, who had fought so hard to see justice done. And somewhere among them, Maria. Lily hadn't seen her friend in 6 months. They talked on the phone every week, sent letters back and forth, but it wasn't the same. Today, finally, they would be together again. Come on, Thunder. Lily patted her leg. Let's go. The old dog rose stiffly and followed her to the truck. Marcus lifted him into the back seat, then helped Eleanor climb into the front. Big day, Eleanor said quietly. Thomas would have loved this. He would have hated the attention, Marcus replied, but he would have loved what it means. They drove through town, past familiar shops and houses, past the fire station where Jamie Porter was helping his father set up folding chairs. Jamie waved when he saw them. Lily waved back. So much had changed in a year, and so much had stayed the same. The memorial park was on the far side of town where the mine entrance used to be. As they approached, Lily's breath caught. Hundreds of people had gathered on the green lawn. Local families, state officials, news crews with their cameras and microphones. A stage had been set up near the old mine shaft, which had been sealed and covered with a stone monument. And at the entrance to the park, gleaming in the morning sun, stood a bronze statue. A little girl and her dog looking toward the mountains. Lily stared at it, unable to speak. They finished it last week, Marcus said softly. I wanted it to be a surprise. That's me. That's you. Eleanor squeezed her hand. That's you and Thunder, so that no one ever forgets what you did. Lily's eyes filled with tears. She didn't know what to say. didn't know if there were words for what she felt. Thunder pressed against her leg and she knelt to wrap her arms around his neck. "We did it, boy," she whispered. "We really did it." They made their way through the crowd toward the reserved seating at the front. People recognized Lily as she passed. Some smiled, some reached out to touch her shoulder. A few wiped tears from their eyes. "There she is," someone murmured. "The girl who saved those children." Lily kept her head down, embarrassed by the attention. She just wanted to find her seat, just wanted to see Maria. "Lily." She looked up. Maria was running toward her across the grass, her dark hair flying, her face split by the biggest smile Lily had ever seen. She crashed into Lily with enough force to nearly knock them both down. "You came," Lily laughed. "You actually came." "Of course I came. Did you think I would miss this?" They held each other for a long moment, these two girls who had walked through darkness together. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were crying. "You look different," Maria said. "Taller." "You too. Your English is so good now." "My foster mother helps me practice every day." Maria's smile flickered. "I have news. Big news." "What?" "They found my mother." Maria's voice broke. "She is alive. She has been looking for me for 2 years. The FBI found her in Guatemala. She is coming here next month." Lily grabbed Maria's hands. "That's incredible, Maria. That's amazing." "I am going home." Tears streamed down Maria's face. "After everything, after all this time, I am going home." They hugged again, tighter this time, both of them sobbing with joy. Eleanor appeared beside them, her own eyes wet. "Come on, girls. The ceremony is about to start." They took their seats in the front row. Lily sat between Maria and her father with Thunder lying at her feet. Eleanor sat on Marcus's other side, her hand clasped in his. Sheriff Clara Vance stepped up to the podium. She wore her uniform, her badge gleaming, her auburn hair pulled back in a neat bun. The scars from her injuries had faded, but they were still visible, a reminder of what she had survived. "Thank you all for being here today," Clara began. "We gather to dedicate this park in memory of Deputy Thomas Beckett, a man who gave his life trying to protect the innocent. But we also gather to celebrate the living, the survivors, the heroes." Her eyes found Lily's in the crowd. 3 years ago, Thomas Beckett discovered a terrible secret hidden beneath this town. He could have looked away. He could have stayed silent. But that wasn't who he was. He chose to fight, knowing the risks, knowing what it might cost him. And it cost him everything. The crowd was silent. Somewhere a bird sang. But his sacrifice was not in vain, because 1 year ago an 8-year-old girl finished what Thomas started. She walked into darkness not because she wasn't afraid, but because she knew that fear was no excuse for inaction. She saved 13 children. She exposed a criminal empire. She brought justice to a town that had been living under the shadow of evil for far too long. Clara stepped away from the podium. "Lily Beckett, would you please come up here?" Lily's heart stopped. She looked at her father, panicked. "Go on," Marcus said gently. "This is your moment." She stood on shaky legs and walked to the stage. Thunder tried to follow, but Marcus held him back. Clara met her at the podium and put an arm around her shoulders. "This park is named for Thomas Beckett," Clara said. "But this statue, this monument is for you. For you and Thunder and every person who refused to stay silent in the face of evil." She pulled a cord and a plaque at the base of the statue was unveiled. "In honor of Lily Mae Beckett and Thunder," Clara read aloud, "who proved that courage has no age, that loyalty has no limit, and that even the smallest voice can shake the foundations of darkness." The crowd erupted in applause. Lily stood there, tears streaming down her face, overwhelmed. She looked at the statue, at the bronze girl who looked so much like her, at the bronze dog who captured Thunder's spirit so perfectly. "I don't deserve this," she whispered to Clara. "I didn't do it alone." "No one ever does," Clara replied. "But you were the spark that lit the fire. Never forget that." The applause continued. Lily saw her grandmother wiping her eyes, her father standing with his hand over his heart, Maria clapping so hard her hands must have hurt. She saw Jamie Porter and his father, Nathan Cross, who had flown in from his new assignment, Agent Reyes standing at the back of the crowd with a rare smile on her face. She saw the faces of the rescued children scattered throughout the audience, children who had been lost in darkness and were now standing in sunlight. Because of her, because she hadn't given up. Clara leaned into the microphone one final time. "Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Lily Beckett, the bravest person I have ever known." The crowd rose to their feet. The applause became a roar, and Lily finally understood. This wasn't just about her. It wasn't just about Thunder or Thomas or the children in the tunnels. It was about all of them, every person who had chosen to stand up when standing up seemed impossible. It was about the light that refused to die no matter how deep the darkness. She walked back to her seat and fell into her father's arms. "I'm so proud of you," Marcus whispered. "So proud." "I love you, Daddy." "I love you too, baby girl. More than anything in this world." After the ceremony, the crowd dispersed across the park. Food tables had been set up. Music played from speakers. Children ran across the green grass. Lily sat beneath a tree with Maria Thunder stretched out between them, soaking up the warmth of the spring sun. "What will you do when you go home?" Lily asked. "I don't know." Maria stroked Thunder's fur. "Go to school. Help my mother. Try to be normal." "Is that possible? After everything?" Maria was quiet for a moment. "I don't think we can ever be normal. Not the way other children are. We have seen things, survived things." She looked at Lily with those deep brown eyes. "But maybe that's okay. Maybe we're supposed to be different. My grandma says scars are just proof that you survived." "Your grandma is wise." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the crowd listening to the music. "Will you come visit me?" Maria asked. "In Guatemala." "Are you kidding? Wild horses couldn't keep me away?" Maria smiled. "Promise. Promise." They pinky swore on it, a gesture that felt both childish and sacred. Nathan Cross approached, walking carefully, still favoring his left side. He lowered himself onto the grass beside them. "Mind if I join you?" "Not at all." Lily scooted over to make room. Nathan looked out at the crowd at the memorial, at the sealed mine shaft in the distance. "Hard to believe it's been a year." "Feels like longer," Lily said. "And shorter somehow." Nathan shook his head. "Time's funny that way." "How's your daughter?" Lily remembered the photograph he'd shown her once, a smiling 6-year-old with his dark hair and bright eyes. "Growing like a weed. She talks about you all the time. Calls you the brave girl from the snow." Lily felt her cheeks warm. "I'm not that brave. You're braver than most adults I know." Nathan's voice was serious. "I've been doing this job for 15 years. I've seen a lot of people freeze when things get hard. Give up. Walk away. You didn't. You were 8 years old, facing down monsters, and you didn't flinch." I was terrified. "That's what makes it brave." Nathan reached over and scratched Thunder behind the ears. "Being scared and doing it anyway, that's the whole definition." Thunder's tail thumped against the grass. "He's getting old," Nathan said gently. Lily's throat tightened. "I know." "The vet give you any timeline?" She said maybe another year, maybe less. Lily's voice wavered. "I try not to think about it." Nathan was quiet for a moment. "You know what I think? I think Thunder's held on this long because of you. Because he knows you need him. And he'll keep holding on as long as he can. He's the best dog in the world. No argument here." They sat together until the sun began to dip toward the mountains. One by one, the other rescued children came to say goodbye. They hugged Lily, petted Thunder, promised to stay in touch. The youngest was a boy named Diego, only 7 now, who had been 5 when he was taken. He didn't say much, but he pressed a folded piece of paper into Lily's hand. "I drew this for you," he said shyly. Lily unfolded it. A crayon drawing of a girl and a dog standing in front of a mountain. Above them, a bright yellow sun. Below them, the words, "Thank you," in wobbly letters. "It's beautiful," Lily said, her voice thick. "I'll keep it forever." Diego smiled and ran back to his foster parents. As evening approached, the crowd began to thin. The food was packed up, the music faded, the chairs were folded and stacked. Lily walked to the statue one last time. She stood before it, this bronze image of herself and Thunder frozen in a moment of courage that she still didn't fully understand. "Pretty good likeness," a voice said behind her. She turned. It was Eleanor, moving slowly, leaning on Marcus's arm. "I don't feel like that girl," Lily said. "That girl looks like a hero." "You are a hero." Eleanor stepped closer and cupped Lily's face in her weathered hands. "You were a hero before any of this happened. You just didn't know it yet." "How can you say that I was just a kid who followed her dog into the woods? And that's exactly what a hero does." Eleanor's eyes were fierce. "A hero sees something wrong and can't look away, can't pretend it's not happening, can't tell themselves it's someone else's problem. That's you, Lily May. That's always been you." Marcus put his hand on Lily's shoulder. "Your mother was the same way, always fighting for what was right, driving me crazy with her causes and her petitions and her volunteer work." He laughed softly. "I used to tell her she was going to save the world someday." "She would have been so proud of you," Eleanor added. "So proud." Lily looked at the statue again, at the determined set of the bronze girl's jaw, at the loyal dog standing guard at her side. Maybe Eleanor was right. Maybe being a hero wasn't about being fearless or strong or special. Maybe it was just about showing up, about doing the next right thing even when you were scared, even when you were small. "I miss her," Lily said quietly. "Mom, Uncle Thomas, I miss them so much." "They're not gone," Eleanor said. "Not really. They're in every good thing you do, every life you touch. Every time you choose courage over fear, they're right there with you." Thunder limped over and pressed his head against Lily's leg. She knelt and wrapped her arms around him. "I don't know how to do this without you," she whispered. "When you go, I don't know how I'll be brave anymore." Thunder licked her face. His tail wagged slowly. His amber eyes, clouded with age but still warm, seemed to say, "You were always brave. You didn't need me. You just needed to believe in yourself." Lily held him tighter. The sun set behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. The last visitors drifted away. The park grew quiet, but Lily stayed. She stayed until the stars came out one by one, until the statue was just a shadow against the darkening sky. She stayed because she wasn't ready to leave, because leaving felt like closing a chapter she wasn't sure she wanted to end. Marcus found her there, sitting on the grass with Thunder's head in her lap, ready to go home. Lily looked up at her father, at this man who had been absent for so long and was now so present it almost hurt. "Not yet," she said. "Can we just stay a little longer?" Marcus lowered himself onto the grass beside her. "As long as you need." They sat together in the darkness, father and daughter, an old dog watching the stars wheel overhead. "Daddy?" "Yeah." "Do you think God really sees us like Grandma says? Do you think he knows what we're going through?" Marcus was quiet for a long time. I think if there's anything this year has taught me, it's that we're not alone. Even when it feels like we are. Even when the darkness seems total." He put his arm around her. "I think God works through people. Through you and Thunder and Clara and Jamie. Through anyone who chooses to be light instead of shadow. Even through people who've made mistakes. Especially through them." Marcus's voice was soft. "The ones who've been broken and put themselves back together. The ones who know what darkness looks like because they've lived in it. Those are the ones who fight hardest for the light." Lily leaned against her father's shoulder. Thunder sighed contentedly. "I want to help other kids," she said suddenly. "When I grow up, kids like Maria and Diego, kids who've been lost and don't know how to be found. Then you will." Marcus kissed the top of her head. "You can do anything you set your mind to, Lily May. I truly believe that. Because I'm brave. Because you're you." "Ah!" They stayed until the night grew cold and Eleanor called from the truck, her voice thin in the darkness. Lily stood slowly, her legs stiff from sitting so long. She helped Thunder to his feet, steadying him when he wobbled. She looked at the statue one last time, at the monument to courage, at the sealed mine shaft that had once held so much horror. It was over now. The darkness had been beaten. The children were safe. The monsters were in prison. But the fight wasn't finished. It would never be finished. Not really. Because there would always be more children who needed saving. More darkness that needed light. More battles that needed someone brave enough to fight them. And Lily would be ready. "Come on, boy," she said to Thunder. "Let's go home." They walked across the park together, girl and dog, toward the waiting truck and the family who loved them. Behind them, the stars burned bright against the endless sky. Above them, the mountains stood silent and eternal, keeping watch. And somewhere in some place beyond the veil of this world, Thomas Beckett smiled. His niece had finished what he started. His legacy would live on, and the light once lit would never go out. 6 months later, on a crisp autumn morning, Thunder closed his eyes for the last time. He passed peacefully in his bed by the fireplace with Lily's arms around him, and the whole family gathered close. He was 10 years old. He had lived a good life. He had been loved. They buried him on the hill behind the farmhouse, where he could watch over them forever. Lily planted flowers on his grave and visited every day, telling him about school and friends, and all the things she wished he could see. "I miss you," she would say. "But I know you're still with me. I know you're still watching." And sometimes, when the wind blew just right, she could almost hear him bark. 1 year after that, Lily stood in the airport terminal waiting. She was 11 now, almost 12, taller and stronger, with her mother's determination in her eyes and her uncle's courage in her heart. The flight from Guatemala had just landed. There, Maria burst through the arrivals gate, dragging her suitcase behind her, her mother close on her heels. "Lily!" They collided in the middle of the terminal, laughing and crying and talking over each other. "You came!" Maria gasped. "You really came! I promised, didn't I?" Maria's mother embraced them both, this stranger who had become family, this woman who had searched for her daughter across continents and never given up hope. "Thank you," she said to Lily in accented English. "Thank you for saving my baby." Lily shook her head. "Maria saved herself. I just helped her find the way out." They walked out of the terminal together into the bright sunshine of a Minnesota summer. Eleanor and Marcus were waiting by the truck. There were introductions, handshakes, tears. A new chapter was beginning. As they drove toward the farm, Maria reached over and took Lily's hand. "I have been thinking," she said, "about what you told me, about wanting to help children like us." "Yeah. I want to help too, when we are older, together." Lily squeezed her hand. "Deal." The truck wound through the countryside, past fields of green and gold, past forests and streams and mountains that had witnessed both darkness and light. And Lily understood finally what Eleanor had been trying to tell her all along. The scars we carry are not weakness, they are proof. Proof that we survived, proof that we fought, proof that no matter how dark the night, the dawn always comes. She looked out the window at the passing world, at this beautiful, broken, hopeful place that she called home. She thought about Thunder, who had given everything he had to protect her. She thought about Thomas, who had died fighting for children he would never meet. She thought about her mother, who had loved her fiercely and taught her what it meant to care. And she made a promise there in that truck, surrounded by family, old and new. She would honor them all. She would carry their light forward. She would spend her life finding the lost and bringing them home. Because that's what heroes do. They don't wait for permission. They don't ask if they're ready. They see the darkness and they walk into it anyway, carrying whatever light they have. And sometimes that light is enough to change everything. Marcus looked at her in the rear-view mirror. "You okay back there?" Lily smiled. "Yeah, Daddy, I'm okay." More than okay, she was ready. The road stretched out before them, endless and full of possibility. The sun blazed overhead. The world waited. And Lily Beckett, the girl who had walked into a frozen nightmare and emerged carrying hope in her small, brave hands, leaned back, and watched the future unfold. Sometimes, the greatest miracles don't arrive with thunder or trumpets. They come quietly, in the form of a child who refuses to look away, in the loyalty of an old dog who still remembers how to fight, in the stubborn, persistent belief that darkness, no matter how deep, can never truly extinguish the light. God sees every act of courage, no matter how small. He breathes hope into frozen places and brings dawn to the darkest nights. If you have ever felt buried, if you have ever felt forgotten, if you have ever wondered if anyone was coming to find you, remember this. Someone is always coming. Someone is always fighting. And sometimes that someone is a little girl and her dog walking through the snow, refusing to give up. Comment Amen if you believe in everyday miracles. Share this story with someone who needs to know that courage has no age. And subscribe because together we tell stories of hope that the world needs to hear. May God bless and protect every heart watching this, and may His light guide your steps through every storm. Because in the end, this is the truth that matters. No darkness lasts forever. No child is truly lost. And love, real love, the kind that fights and sacrifices and never stops searching, will always find a way to bring them home.